Welcome to Hot Thoughts.
Hot thoughts.
Um, Today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about gun calibers.
Yes. I know we said we were talking about Game of Thrones, but we lied. We lie a lot.
Yeah, Game of Thrones sucked. Plus there's like 1,000 YouTubers a day who upload Game of Thrones videos.
I prefer to forget that season 8 happened.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Long Night thing, though. It's a different director, different producers.
I am actually listening to right now the audiobook of Fire and Blood, which is a history of the Targaryens.
Oh, like the Blackfire Rebellion?
Yeah, so no, it starts with the conquest of Aegon the Conqueror. So if you actually listen to Targaryen history, her burning the entire city to the ground makes sense because they're all fucking batshit crazy. And since 300 years prior to Game of Thrones, they've been incest the entire time.
Well, incest is incest.
Yeah, and the amount of cities that Targaryens have burned just for the fuck of it, like just because somebody told them no, is fucking countless. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy as fuck.
So on Game of Thrones end, that's the only thing that makes sense in season 8 is that she burns the shit out of King's Landing. So there's that.
And Jon goes back to the north.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because he knows nothing and he belongs where there's nothing to know.
Exactly. And he can go fuck himself.
Piece of shit.
Anyways, on today's Hot Thoughts, we are talking
the real topic.
We are talking about gun calibers. So I am pretty active. Well, not active. I'm active in listening to a lot of what the gun community has to say today, and I listen to a lot of YouTube gun channels. And one big thing that is a huge issue today is what caliber should you carry? And what kind of gun should you carry? Before we dive in too deep, Chris, what are your thoughts on gun to carry, gun caliber to carry, anything of the such?
Okay, well, number one, hopefully you don't live in an area where you require a gun. You probably don't live in Arizona, because we have one of the most dangerous cities in the fucking country. And you most likely don't work for law enforcement, because if you work for law enforcement, just take whatever gun they fucking give you for free, like I did.
Right. So this speech really only goes to people who aren't in like shitty parts of the United States, like California or Massachusetts or some fucking bullshit.
Let's put Chicago in there too. It's nice and peaceful.
Yeah. Well, Illinois actually, because you really can't carry a gun. You're better off sharpening a butter knife in Illinois.
Chirac, baby,
Chirac.
Chirac for a reason. It's beautiful. It's a jewel of the Orient.
Let's start at the top. Okay.
What is the top?
So let's start at the basis of the question. What kind of gun should you carry? Now, let's start at the biggest size. Do you think a full-size handgun is ideal for everyday carry?
Well, we talking full size? We talking like hysterically large, like a Desert Eagle 5.0?
No. Let's talk like a full size, like a Glock 19. That's a pretty staple gun. Like a Glock 19
is a compact.
Is it really?
Yeah, you're talking 17. That's full size.
Yeah, the 17. So Glock 17, or like the Glock that's chambered in 45 ACP, the fucking RoboCop gun.
Well, I'd classify that with the fucking 50 cal, the Desert Eagle, because that's absurdly stupid large.
Yeah, so let's make this clear. Do not try to conceal carry or open carry a Desert Eagle. Like, those are novelty guns. They're awesome by every virtue, but their work to failure ratio is immense.
Well, you get that with what is it, a gas blowback or whatever?
Yeah.
It's not even fucking, it's not even what is it, normal blowback? Whatever most handguns work. I forgot what it is.
So, we're talking about full-size handguns. Do you think it's viable to carry around a full-size handgun? Glock 17, Beretta M9, fucking CZ75, Browning high power.
Well, yes. But it really depends on physical body size.
Okay, so let's say
if you're a big fucker like the Mountain, that half Thor guy, you could probably hide that shit like in your crotch area and no one would even notice.
Okay, so they say average height and weight in America, and I'm
Like
just
what, five
spitballing
nine,
here, is
five
like,
ten?
yeah, like 5'9", 5'10", about a buck 90.
I would say no. I'd say unless you're skinny, a full size is not going to hide well. It's going to print really bad on your
You
clothing.
mean unless you're skinny?
Yeah, if you're really skinny, you can hide it like under your rib cage because you don't got no fucking,
Okay,
you don't got no meat on those bones.
so right off the bat, unless you're a bigger guy, probably like 6 foot and above, 230, 240 and above, you're probably not going to be able to conceal a full size handgun.
Not well, at least.
Okay, so let's just put the cart before the horse here. What size do you think is best for concealed carry or everyday carry?
I mean, average size person, I'd say that's pretty anything in the compact area because
But not subcompact though, right? You're just talking about just
I
straight.
personally don't like subcompacts because my hands fit all weird on them.
Okay.
And then the little toy guns, the pocket carry guns, those I guess like the Derringers and stuff like that. Those I guess would work, but I wouldn't count on them
Right.
because they're so little. It's so hard to manipulate them.
So Chris is actually he is vouching for the compact, and me, I am actually saying as small and as comfortable as you can get the gun.
You like the toy guns? You like the toy
Yeah,
size guns?
like the
Child size?
the Smith and Wesson Shield, the RM 380, the Glock 43, a two-shot Derringer. That like whatever you can handle comfortably, and you can shoot within a 10 to 15 foot range. I would say that's the gun for you. Now, whatever you're going to choose is whatever you're going to choose. Let's talk conceal carry versus open carry. Which do you think is better?
Well, open carry is way more comfortable. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You don't sweat on your gun. It doesn't dig into your side and shit.
Yeah.
But people freak out when you open carry most places. So,
but not only do they freak out, but you become an instant target for any scumbag who's willing to shoot the joint up.
You'll either be the first deterrent they see or the first person dead.
Yeah. I stand pretty firm with that. I think that conceal carry, personally myself, I can conceal carry with a holster that covers the trigger guard and fits inside my pocket. Now I'm a bigger guy, about 300 pounds, 6'1", so I can conceal a subcompact very easy. And with a pocket holster covering the trigger guard, I've got no problem when I pull that out. The holster grabs on the pocket of my pants, and only the pistol comes out. But
well, hopefully, only the pistol comes out when you put your hand in your pocket and pull out.
Yeah, I mean, my other gun might come out of my pants.
You might be going to jail soon.
Yeah, for
explosions. Hey,
yeah.
Look at this pistol. This ain't no subcompact here.
Now, so now that we have, and we're moving pretty quick here. We're just kind of glazing over. So now that we have the size taken care of, because size does matter, people.
It does.
I mean, in my opinion, the smaller the better.
Impresses the ladies. Sometimes shocks.
Yeah.
Always awes.
Always awes. Let's talk about gun caliber. Now, there's a lot of debate in the gun community. Is 45 the most powerful? Is 10 the most? But 10 millimeter the most powerful that you can carry in a full double stack? Whatever, what have you. Let's go to Chris. Let's see what his thoughts are on the best round to carry for concealed carry.
I'd say anything above like a 25 ACP. To a limit. 45 is getting there. But you'd have to have a small gun that only carries like 4 or 5 rounds. Which is fine, I guess, if you hit them in the right spot and they're in body armor or heavy ass clothing, shit like that. But like even like 25 ACP I say because 22 is a little slow. A little slow when you're trying to penetrate clothing. And it might not go through somebody's face. Like, depending on how far you... Okay, I'm getting weird looks here. Depending on how far away you are from your assailant, it may not go through your face skull.
The range that we're talking about is the average, like the average gun engagement distance.
1 to like 15 feet.
1 to 15 feet. So anywhere in between there is your active engagement zone. So let's push it out. Let's say anywhere between 10 to 15 feet. Let's say you see Jerry coming at you pretty far.
Well, 10 to 15, I'd go to the pretty standard everyday calibers, the 38 ACP to
380 ACP.
yeah, whatever. 380 ACP. That's 380 auto.
Yeah.
Or I go to that maybe for that kind of range, maybe 9 mil at the upper limit, which is like the same caliber but a little bit more push behind it. You can get a different bullet weights.
But what about the guys that say you need 45 ACP because of the knockdown power?
Well, knockdown doesn't exist for one. Like unless you shoot somebody with like a fucking slug, like that with a 12 gauge, then their ass is gonna sit down. But like a 45, it's not gonna put anybody down unless you hit them in the head. Nothing does.
45-70 is going to sit somebody down.
They'll probably just go through them. I mean, they're gonna run out of steam pretty quick, but I don't think they'll sit down. You know, let all the air out
Give
of
him
the bag.
the
Like,
give him the Chris Hansen. Why'd you take a seat?
oh shit, I'm so tired right now. I'm all tuckered out. Let me take a knee for a minute. But like when people are high on drugs, just fucking excited with fucking just pumping adrenaline through their brains and like shit, they're not gonna go down because their body doesn't even register as dead.
Yeah. So one thing that you can do to arm yourself with knowledge is go to LiveLeak and watch every single video in which there is an active shooting. Not like people massacring other people,
Christ.
but I mean like a police officer shooting a bad guy, or just a average citizen trying to fend off a hopped up drug dealer. You'll quickly see it doesn't matter what caliber you have, the handgun is only giving you a leg up in the wrestling that's to ensue.
Yeah, because they only work because you either run out of air or you run out of blood. That's the only two things. You're just poking holes in people, for Christ's sake. And the
So
holes aren't that much different in size.
you can actually take a gun back to the same principle of all the way back before the medieval days, all the way back to the Mesopotamian era.
Mesopotopia?
Meso
Is that west of Brown?
no
Mesopotopia? No.
mesothelioma.
Mesothelioma. I hear they go.
Anyways, as ancient as you can fucking get. The theory was to poke holes. Yes, Mesopotamia was to poke holes in your assailant or the person you're trying to want dead until they yield. That's the point. So much to my statement against Chris's is I really don't think it matters what gun caliber you carry between 22 all the way up to 10 millimeter. You know, it all that you are trying to do is get the leg up on whoever it is that's attacking you. Now, you may say, well, you know, my 9mm is going to punch a bigger hole than a 22. Yeah, that's true. But if you've got 6 rounds of 9 and I have 19 of 22 in the same size gun, I'm going to poke 19 holes in you versus, you know, because the 22 doesn't move when you shoot it. But the 9's snapping around, and with the adrenaline rushing, the probability of you poking the same consistent hole, of shooting a 6-inch grouping into your target with that adrenaline pumping, if you have no prior training, it's not good. That probability is not good at all. So if I've got 19 chances to poke holes in you, I'll probably take the 19 over the 7. That's not to say that I carry a 22, because I don't own a 22 because I'm not a Farragut. But is it?
The term is a gender fluid or whatever.
All I'm saying is I would take 19, 17, 15 rounds of 22 before I take 4 rounds of 45. I don't care how much knockdown power 45 has. I don't care if all I theoretically have to do is double tap him with a 45. I'll take the multiple rounds over the least rounds with knockdown power because I'm not betting on myself being able to hit an accurate target with adrenaline rushing, with somebody running towards me, and then accurately being able to have shot placement and then wrestle somebody afterwards.
Well, the whole knockdown myth came because of the U.S. Army and what was it? What was that place? Little Asia that's like Mexico. Speak Spanish over there.
Filipinos?
Filipinos, we were over there subjugating them or making them free or whatever. We used to have 38 caliber weapons. All right, these are all black powder days, shitty days. The 38s weren't really knocking them down because they're all high as fuck.
Some say the best days.
They really were the best days. So we moved to a 45. The 45 black powder, it's only going like 700 feet a second. Not much faster than 45 ACP. It worked back then on 100-pound dudes, knocked them down because they were starving little jungle people. But that isn't the same today. Like we discovered that in World War II. All right. World War One, World War II.
The 1911 was actually made in World War One for 1911.
It was designed in 1911 and it went into production in 1912.
No, they had them in World War One. They had the 1911 A1.
You realize?
No, not the A1, just the 1911.
World War One ended in 1918.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we had 1911s in World War One.
Because it came out in like 1912.
Yeah.
6 years of war there.
Yeah, we had them.
In that brandy.
They carried over into World War II.
And Vietnam.
And Vietnam, yeah. They're still used today.
And the knockdown power isn't really substantial. It's no real different than a quality 9mm. Or what I carry, a 40.
Look, I carry
a 40 because it's cheap. I got a good deal on it, and it's compact. So
look, what you have to, when you're deciding a carry caliber, you really have to ask yourself one question. Am I going to want to get shot with this? And I almost guarantee you, if it's anything above a fucking pellet gun.
I don't want to get shot with a pellet gun.
Yeah, you don't want to get shot with a pellet gun.
That shit hurts.
If it's anything above an airsoft gun, you're going to go, yeah, I'd rather not get shot. And I think a lot of people, Chris, actually underestimate how loud a gun is.
No, they've never heard a gun their whole life.
When it's being fired in your direction.
They've never been near a gun.
Yeah. And then most people who commit acts of violence or quote-unquote attempted acts of violence with guns, you read about these attempts where the gun's not even loaded. Gun's not even real. The gun was never even fired. The gun wasn't even cocked. The person wielding it just bought the gun 5 minutes before. A lot of the people who are willing to stick you up for your wallet are not actually willing to go down for a murder rap and grease you for $10 in your wallet. They have no idea what's in there. So they're going to make off with $10 and what, a fucking iPhone? Like, I don't think that's really worth a murder rap. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to get shot with the round that you're carrying? And if the answer is no, then you're carrying a very sufficient round.
There's a guy who murdered 3 ASU students over a dime bag of weed.
Yeah.
Fucking the jail.
I don't remember who it was, but there was actually a family murder in California. 2 men entered a log cabin, and they overpowered a mother and 3 teenage boys with a Daisy 880 Powerline BB gun.
Well, it's California. That was an assault rifle, sir.
They tied them up.
They came in with a high-powered assault
brutally
rifle.
killed them all.
No, they didn't murder anybody. They're innocent men.
They even butt-stroked one with the fucking plastic.
Really, it was society that made that
gun.
happen. Society
and
made
you know what? It might be.
Society drove them to it by giving them no other options.
Okay, so let me ask you
that
this.
That family would forgive them. They understand.
Would you object to carrying a single-action revolver?
Yes and no. I would carry it because I am from the Southwest, and that's part of our heritage. So I'd really just be honoring Arizona's long history of gun violence and vigilantism.
But we're in LA now.
That's fucking true. Oh, LA has a long history of gun violence and vigilantism as well. They just deny it. They just think they're from the mid '70s when everything was peaceful and hippie shit. Yeah. Even though they got tons of murders and serial killers.
Yeah.
Some of the worst fucking gang violence in the country. Yeah, I would. Why not? That's super safe. I mean, I literally have to make sure I'm going to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Cock that hammer.
Okay, one other thing I want to talk about with carry guns before.
Well, if it's a classic
we go
caliber like 44.
I would like to make the suggestion, and it's a raw suggestion, but I would like to make the suggestion that the gun you decide to carry, you should not alter one bit. You should buy it 100% stock from the factory
And just use it that way.
and just use it that way. Because one, okay, so let's say this:
Ream your ass in court.
a coworker of mine was actually in an altercation not just a week ago. He was in uh, a very aggressive traffic
Fucking
situation.
LA traffic, dude.
Yeah, LA traffic. He was in an aggressive traffic situation in which a gentleman had cut him off, and then he caught up with him, and then some birds were exchanged, middle fingers, and then later on down the road, the guy had caught up with my coworker, cut him off again, and my coworker had actually picked his phone up and was like brandishing it at him. But the coworker's like 68 years old. He's an old guy, but he carries. He said 20 minutes later down the highway, DPS came screaming up, pulled him over, pulled him out of the car, asked him if he had any weapons in the car. He said, yeah, he had his gun in the center console. Uh, he then, the officers then went into the vehicle to search for the gun. And they actually didn't find it at first. And they were like, are you sure you have a gun in here? He said, yeah, it's in the center console. You have to dig for it. So they dug out like 6 inches of trash out of his center console to find this gun with shit like all over it. Like it was in a holster, but it had mail on top of it. Fucking random shit you throw in your center console. And they cleared the weapon. They put it on the opposite seat, and then they put the magazine in the back seat of the cab of his truck. And they said,
They didn't confiscate the bullets?
No, they didn't. They said, once we leave, you can then, load your weapon, make it hot if you want. But if they really wanted to throw the book at him, they could have confiscated his gun, said, he was using it to make threats at other people, brandish it, and then he would have to wait until it went through evidence and the file had been sealed and filed away, done whatever, and then collected it from evidence. So the moral of the story that I'm trying to say here is, if you buy, like, say, a $600 gun, you put $300 of work into it, night sights, better trigger job, yada yada yada. You may not even get to fire that gun before it gets taken away from you. Chris here, who is in law enforcement, can atone for it. How fast do you think you would get your gun back from the cops if they confiscated it?
Not very fast. In fact, maybe never.
Yeah, because they say that, they tell you, you can pick it up in 90 days to 180. So you go there to the station and you go to pick up your gun, and the next thing you know, it's been lost in the evidence locker.
Well, it's going to get run, might get taken home by somebody.
Yeah.
Could be sold.
Or it could
they don't sell guns, but they could destroy it.
It could have been taken to the precinct that was closest to where you got pulled over, but nowhere near where you had to go to court. So then they say, well, we got to wait for it to ship between their evidence locker and to come into this county, yada, yada, yada.
There's paperwork.
Yeah, there's tons of paperwork. And in the process, it gets lost. So that's why I say don't carry anything outside of the generic gun. Besides the fact that the prosecutor in court, if you do anything to make your gun easier to shoot somebody, they will crucify you.
I was going to bring that up.
For the fact that, yeah, you changed your gun from a 10-pound trigger pull.
You modified it from its safe factory condition.
Yeah, now it is you had the intent to shoot somebody and to put them down for good.
With your fancy night sights and your hair trigger.
Do you remember in Arizona, about a year ago, maybe, there was that Mesa police officer who was using his own AR-15, and he put that one guy down. And
I don't remember that, but that sounds familiar. The fire chief at AZ got caught fucking goats.
What?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Was like 3 months ago.
He's a goat fucker?
Yeah, he got arrested and everything. He's sitting in the jails right now.
Anyways, there was a Mesa police officer who had he was using his own AR-15, and the dust cover said, when it popped open, on the inside it said, "You're fucked." And he shot a man dead in a hotel room.
Oh, good job for him.
Yeah.
I'm sure that went very well for him.
It did not. Anyways, we're getting pretty long-winded here. the point that I think we wanted
Common
to make.
sense isn't common. It's
Well,
not common amongst people. It's not common amongst law enforcement.
well, it shouldn't be. It was a book that was written in the 1700s. Common Sense by Thomas Paine is not so common anymore.
It's got two,
And
three on the floor.
I have no understanding why the State of the Union has anything to do with modern day history or modern day problems, actually.
What? The State of the Union?
Common Sense by Thomas Paine was a book.
Mm-hmm. What are you talking about, the State of the Union?
It was written back then. It was about the
State of the Union?
problems of...
What kind of problems the nation faces every year?
Yeah.
During the term of the State of the Union.
I don't see what that has to do with carrying.
Nothing. You bring it up.
You said common sense.
Yeah, common sense.
Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm going to take a sip of brandy here, and we're about to get out of here. Do you have anything else you want to say to the people?
Not really. Don't shoot anybody. Don't get shot.
Look, you don't want to have to grease anybody. I mean, if you grease anybody...
It's going to feel terrible. Unless you're crazy.
You're going to feel terrible.
You're going to be like the Zimmer guy.
And at the end of the day, it's not going to be worth it. I guarantee you that. The amount of money you have to go in legal fees, the amount of bullshit you have to go through. Yeah, and people will think you're a murderer. They will follow you. All because you were trying to defend what you thought was right. It's not worth it, people. Carrying a gun is great until you got to grease somebody. And if you grease somebody inappropriately...
We're at 26 minutes here.
Nobody's listening.
It's true. And that's a shame. That's a shame.
Because this was a great conversation.
It's a real shame. See, somebody's going to shoot somebody out there and be fucked. Because they didn't listen to this podcast.
Alright, we're signing off. This has been Chris and Rob, Kuru Limited. Be sure to subscribe for more entertainment. And we're coming out of East LA, so...
East LA, I'm sorry, motherfucker.
maybe we'll see you around.
That's what it's about.
Hot thoughts.
You nearly dropped a hard R there.
Hot thoughts.
That ain't cool.